Forming your LLC. We're going to be covering what is an LLC, what are key components to forming it, how do you form it, and a little bit about LLC taxation. So what is an LLC? An LLC is a limited liability company. It's all the rave these days, and for good reason. A limited liability company, as an owner of it, you're considered a member, and your ownership is evidenced by membership interests in the LLC. Now that's different than a corporation where you own shares of stock. Membership interests are illustrated by a percentage. So if you have a partner and you want to be 50-50, you would have a 50% interest in an LLC. Now, an LLC is very flexible in many, many ways. For starters, as far as the books and records and the meeting requirements, not stringent at all. So a lot of times people like to go with an LLC because they may be able to avoid meetings quarterly, to avoid meeting minutes, and really to just pass resolutions authorizing the LLC to take certain actions. Additionally, an LLC is flexible with what you want to put into your LLC agreement, which is also known as an operating agreement. In your LLC agreement, you can be as flexible as having a partner with 50% interest and you having 50% interest. However, there can be multiple tranches of your membership interest, meaning even though you have 50% interest in the company, you may be able to, in the operating agreement, retain 85% of the voting rights or retain any percentage, so let's say 90% of the distributions from the funds that the LLC is making through its operation. You can call that Member A and Member B and outline what the obligations, responsibilities, and rights of each member are going to be. That sort of flexibility you don't get with a corporation. In fact, an S-Corp, you can only have one level of shares. You can't have one share giving you 100% of the voting rights or vice versa. So an LLC in that regard may be considered superior for its flexibility. Now, what are key components to forming my LLC? With a limited liability company, you have what's called articles of organization and a filing receipt. This is what you get from your state. Traditionally, it's run by the Department of State Division of Corporations or a similar name depending upon what state you're in. When you have your articles of organization and filing receipt, those are the two items to evidence the LLC's existence. You have to come up with a name, you have to come up with whether it's going to be member or manager managed, and in order to open up a bank account, you'll need an EIN number. So an EIN number is similar to a social security number. It's essentially a social security number for a business. Not every state has a requirement to have an operating agreement for your LLC. Personally, I would suggest you do no matter what, whether it's a requirement or not. I'm in New York. New York State does have a signed operating agreement as a requirement to forming and operating your LLC. But again, not every state does. What is an operating agreement? That is the agreement that outlines everything that has to do with your LLC. So the operations, the distributions, the ownership percentages of the members, what happens when members get into a disagreement, can a member force a sale of an LLC, or can a member force an appraisal to get the value of the company? Things of that nature will all be outlined in your operating agreement. Now look, if you're the one forming your LLC and it's just you, there's a lot less worry. You're not going to get into a disagreement with yourself, and even if you do, there shouldn't be a clear-cut winner or loser. Not the same thing when you have multiple members or multiple owners in the limited liability company. It's guaranteed that if you're in business with somebody else over an extended period of time and finances are at play and people are making money, that at some point in time, you're going to have a disagreement with your partner. There are a lot of different questions that you want to outline up front, and you want to ask, usually your attorney, to help you put the answers on how this is going to be laid out in your operating agreement. You also have what's called a statement of organizer. The organizer will be the person who helps you form the LLC, and you should have what's called an LLC resolution. And a resolution you'll see time and time again. For example, if your limited liability company is purchasing real estate, you will have to have an LLC resolution authorizing the company to actually go ahead, and the owners of the company will be signing documents on the LLC's behalf. So now the LLC will be authorized to purchase and close on the property. Same thing if there's going to be any mortgage documents or otherwise involved. So the LLC resolution, that is in place when you have your limited liability company taking any steps. You'll want to have it signed by the members, and you can do this in lieu of or in place of, let's say, traditional meeting of minutes or minutes meeting of a corporation that you generally hear about.